point you're making, this was a deliberate attack on LGBT people in an LGBT venue.
As the world continues to change and humans are also evolving, our world stage is bombarded by different and new ideas or concepts that puts mystery to humanity. The changes that our evolving world brought sometimes resulted to a lot of injustices, inequalities, and discrimination. The treatment to the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender is a manifestation of this. Our country, being a conservative Catholic nation, doesn't fully adhere or agree to the ideas of being homosexual, bisexual, or transgender. Majority believe that this sexual phenomena is not genetically inherited or biological. Thus, they also believed that these changes in sexual orientations can be cured or prevented. Many people would also say that homosexuality is a disease or plague that existed in the late 20th century, but history and written accounts would prove that this claim is a fallacy. Pre-colonial time, men and women were treated the same and equal in terms of their rights and privileges. Yet the intriguing part of the pre-colonial Philippines is that male and female was not only the existing gender at the time, there was also what we call as queer. Queer or homosexual were widely accepted in the pre-colonial society. In fact, few of the deities that the native Filipinos worshipped and adored were transgenders, such as the Tagalog deity Lakampati, who was the goddess of fertility of fields and crops. This proves that the existence of homosexual did not only emerge in the late 20th century, but rather it's always present in the society, even before the Spanish colonizers came. Some accounts also talked about the priestesses or catalanas or babaylans being a role portrayed by men. Normally, in the Philippine history context, this societal role is often played by a woman, but records will prove that this job was also suited for men as long as they cross-dress. Several terms emerged to describe these men, and some of them are bayugin, bayok, agijin, asog, bido, and binabae. This will prove the claim of Spanish conquistadors such as Loarca and Loaiza that babaylan are mostly women. The word mostly stands out. There are also claims that the women Loaiza and Loarca talking about are mostly referred to as bayugin who cross-dress and were sometimes indistinguishable to real women in terms of their action, how they speak or act. Men or women who cross-dress were not called as cross-dressers alone, but gender cross-dressers, because they not only assumed the physical appearance of their opposite sex, but also their symbolic recognition as somewhat men or somewhat women. For example, Crispolo Pulungluna, a Filipino bayugin or bakla from Paco, is said to be wearing a Philippine women costume. This would prove that the existence of third, fourth, or fifth gender in the early Philippine society is true. 333 years of Spanish colonization and over 3 decades of Catholic faith ruled over the country. The Catholic Church disapproved the societal norm that time that male can be female and vice versa, but despite of the Catholicism, cross-dressing, efficacy, and gender-transitive behavior never really disappeared. World history will also prove the existence of homosexuality. Here are some proofs. Sumerian's Code of Hammurabi recognized a different or a separate type of women called Salsikrum. It is a compound word that means male daughter. This type is totally believed as having a male nature. The Babylonians' flood myth Atrahates mentioned non-procreating women that were created after the flood. Egyptian mythology, the goddess Hephaestus and her brother Seth may have been intended as the gay, non-procreative counterpart of the straight Isis and Osiris. Sanamau Hatpu and Nijdanak Sanamau, overseer of the manicurist in the place of King Neusser during the 5th dynasty Egyptian pharaohs, were considered as the first gay couple in history. Ancient Greek recognized the tradition that a mature bearded male lover can court a teenager boy. Spartan soldiers taught that love and erotic relationships between experienced and novice soldier will solidify combat, loyalty, and cohesion, and many more evidences that were too plenty to mention. LGBTs, despite of the widest approval of the people and the church, as well as the discrimination they suffered in the society, proved their capability to be the best in their own respective fields. The successful LGBTs serve as an inspiration not just among the LGBT community, but also to the whole citizenry. For example, Geraldine Roman, the first transgender congresswoman. Despite her difference and her sexuality, she indeed achieved what she wants, and that is to serve the people. Also, the gullible energy of the LGBTs gives happiness to many. For example, Vice Ganda and many other stand-up comedians. They put smile in our face because of their witty jokes and sarcasm. Yet, behind these good things lies a dark side. The L referred as different, experienced, and equal treatment. This phenomena is a manifestation of gender inequality and discrimination. People, most especially those who don't accept their sexual identity, outcasted, ridiculed, and ostracized them. These types of discrimination and bullying can result in eradicated morale, suicide, dropouts in schools, family problems, and even drug use, which can eventually lead to addiction and a dark future. There are several factors that contribute to the problems and dilemmas the LGBT is experiencing today. The culture of the Filipinos is one of the factors why our society doesn't fully nod or agree to the existence of the LGBT. Some of these aspects are: first, the conservative culture of Filipinos. We are not acquainted or open-minded to this unusual change wherein a man can be a woman and vice versa. Second, the Philippines as a Catholic country. Catholicism disapproved homosexuality in the sense that, based on the Holy Scriptures, God only created two genders or sexes, and that is being female or male. The existence of third, fourth, or fifth sex in the society is considered immoral. Third, the patriarchal system or male dominance in the family. Fathers don't want their children to be labeled as babakla-bakla or bakla, tomboy, tibo, or etc. Thus, if the child will be in this situation, the parents will be the first to ostracize him or her, instead of them being the advisors and the comforters. Fourth, the swallow law for gender discrimination. Laws that our government catered are not so tight in terms of gender inequality. If the government itself wants to solve gender discrimination and hates, then the laws regarding these matters must be amended. And the last, the Filipinos' context of ridicule. We Filipinos are born as ridiculers. We point out the mistakes of others instead of attending on our own mistakes. Our sarcasm and jokes can sometimes hurt other people's feelings. If directed to the members of the LGBT community, these ridicules can further aggravate the pain, loneliness, and isolation they felt. Several solutions can be done for us to fully stop the hates against LGBT members. First, laws about gender inequality and discrimination should be strengthened for the welfare of not only the LGBT members but for all Filipinos. Awareness should be injected to every people's mind. We should not treat the members of the LGBT community as salot ng lipunan, but rather we must treat them as humans which they eventually deserved. Third, create opportunities for LGBTs. Members of the LGBT community are bright people. The only factor that hinders them to succeed is the discrimination because of their genders. Creating opportunities for the LGBT will help them to improve their life and also their career. Fourth, families of the LGBTs must fully embrace the sexual orientation of their children. We all know that in times of downfalls and loneliness, our family is the only cure. So strengthening the family ties and relationships will give them more confidence, morale, and inspiration. And the last, accept and respect them. Stop the hate and just spread the love. Our ideology and perception about the existence of LGBT as immoral is the only thing that blocked us from understanding them. We must be open-minded and we must change our perspective when talking about LGBTs for us to fully comprehend their situation. To generalize, we all know that the concept of LGBT is against the church, yet it's the 21st century. World is changing and we are evolving as well. Yes, you're a member of the LGBT community. It doesn't make you a sinner because you did nothing wrong. It is just a matter of being open-minded and changing perspectives about things that is happening in this generation. We can't deny the fact that the LGBT is really the thing today. The LGBTs are also human, so we must respect them and treat them equally. Their sexual orientation is their way of being them, and as far as the rule of the universe is concerned, being true to yourself and to people around you is not illegal nor a sin. We must stop the hate now. Let's just spread the love. Because at the first place, it is not your sexual orientation that will put you in vain. It's your actions. What is your sexual orientation is not the question here, but rather than how well you behave.